And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
It began as one of Disney's most ambitious bets yet, a live-action Snow White poised to rival every fairy tale remake before it. The budget soared beyond $350 million once marketing, promotions, and a polished global rollout were factored in. Fans were intrigued, critics were curious, and Disney was confident that Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot, two high-profile names, would bring fresh depth to the iconic story. But amid the glamour, whispers started swirling about sky-high production costs, behind-the-scenes squabbles, and a potential box office meltdown. Rumor had it that things went so far south, Disney might ask its two leading ladies for partial refunds. How did the studio behind some of cinema's most beloved classics end up here? Was it just a series of unfortunate mishaps? Or did star friction and creative overreach drive this fairy tale into a financial tailspin? Let's delve into how a beloved story of dwarfs, queens, and magic mirrors became the center of Hollywood's latest controversy. From the start, fans were divided over Disney's departure from the classic Seven Dwarfs concept. Fearing accusations of insensitivity, the studio announced it would be introducing new characters instead of the familiar dwarfs. While some applauded the forward-thinking move, traditionalists lamented the loss of a timeless aspect of Snow White. Online debates flared up, with people questioning if Disney was sacrificing beloved traditions for what they saw as overreaching wokeness. Simultaneously, Rachel Zegler openly remarked that the 1937 original had storytelling elements she considered outdated. For Disney loyalists, this bordered on heresy. Many felt the original should be preserved, not criticized. Gal Gadot, on the other hand, tended to be more reserved. Yet in some interviews, she briefly touched on political issues that polarized parts of the fan base. Though these comments weren't entirely new to her public persona, they happened to land during a delicate moment when the production was under the microscope. But what was brewing quietly in the background would soon pull everyone into a much bigger storm. As the cameras rolled, costs skyrocketed. Wardrobe teams struggled to finalize Snow White's new age designs, adding iteration after iteration of costumes. Set construction teams built, tore down, and rebuilt elaborate backdrops to ensure the movie offered a visual spectacle. Scripts went through multiple rewrites after test audiences commented on the awkward tone. Each tweak meant more reshoots and more dollars spent. Insiders claimed that initial test screenings revealed a chemistry gap between Rachel's Snow White and Gal's Evil Queen. Executives reportedly threw additional millions at reshoot schedules, hoping a few extra weeks on set could fix what audiences found unconvincing. Some production staff privately admitted it felt like a bottomless pit. Every new idea cost an enormous sum, yet the results never fully satisfied the higher-ups. Even then, no one anticipated the conflict that would add yet another layer to this spiraling budget. By the time filming got into full swing, rumors about on-set tension began to leak. Rachel Zegler, relatively new but already admired for her performance in a high-profile musical, was unafraid to share her vision of how to modernize Snow White. Some saw her as confident and passionate. Others saw her as overstepping, especially when challenging the classic essence of the fairy tale. Gal Gadot had a history of staying above the fray, known mostly for her warm public persona and track record of big-screen successes. Yet anonymous sources hinted that Gal felt the younger star was nudging in on creative decisions. Rachel, meanwhile, supposedly worried that Gal's cautious stance on certain political or cultural conversations might reflect negatively on the film's attempt to appear progressive. Crew members noticed the tension. Filming slowed when disagreements erupted over how scenes should unfold, or how certain lines should be delivered. Unofficially, people began to grumble that the real-life rift was seeping into the movie, making the legendary conflict between Snow White and the Evil Queen feel forced, both on and off-screen. That friction soon ballooned into a rumor that nobody saw coming. Just as social media chatter about the movie's possible failure grew louder, a startling rumor hit the internet. Disney might want part of its money back from Zegler and Gadot if the film bombed. Skeptics immediately pushed back, arguing that studios almost never recoup costs from talent under normal circumstances. But the whispers wouldn't stop. Some insisted there were clauses buried in contracts that held actors accountable for harming the film's public image if their behavior or public statements went too far. Reports claim Disney executives believed the nonstop controversies, ranging from casting decisions to political commentary, were tarnishing what was supposed to be a guaranteed blockbuster. The question was, could they really pin the film's financial woes on two individuals, no matter how famous they were? Legal experts came forward, saying the likelihood of actual lawsuits was slim, but the rumor itself indicated just how tense and desperate things had become. And the public's reaction only accelerated the chaos. While Disney juggled ballooning costs and star drama, fans took sides online. One group cheered Zegler's blunt honesty about moving beyond old-fashioned tropes, insisting the original needed a serious update to remain relevant. Others claimed she was insulting a cherished piece of film history that generations grew up loving. Gal Gadot, once universally adored, suddenly became a focus of online scorn for seemingly being entangled in a project that fans now called deeply flawed. Some fan theories suggested that if the evil queen was more compelling than Snow White, it might put the film's entire premise in jeopardy, especially if test viewers sided with the villain over the heroine. Social media platforms lit up with endless speculation. Was it fair to blame the leads for speaking their minds, or was the entire production poorly managed? With every leaked detail or heated tweet, the negativity around the movie seemed to ramp up. None of that prepared Disney for the next issue, advanced screenings that put all hopes of a comeback in doubt. The moment advanced screenings began, the writing on the wall grew clearer. Critics described the film as visually stunning, but lacking any real emotional punch. The comedic elements didn't mesh well with attempts at drama. The central conflict felt undercooked, and viewers struggled to connect with Snow White and the evil queen's tension. If a fairy tale remake can't rekindle that eternal battle between pure innocence and cunning darkness, where does it stand? Rumors spread that Disney might cut the theatrical run short if opening weekend numbers disappointed, pivoting to a quick streaming release in hopes of salvaging some of the marketing spend. Internally, executives reportedly clashed on whether to keep pouring money into promotion or quietly wind things down. If the test audiences weren't loving it, was there any point in a last-ditch PR push? But even with the movie teetering, the drama refused to slow down. Disenchanted fans and underwhelmed critics weren't the only problem. The fiasco put other upcoming live-action remakes under a microscope. Insiders say Disney's leadership began discussing stricter oversight of future retellings, worried about turning once reliable fairy tale updates into multi-million-dollar failures. The turmoil also left the studio's PR department scrambling to protect the reputation of two high-profile actresses who, under normal circumstances, would be considered strong assets. For Rachel Zegler, the friction and negative press risk overshadowing her recent breakout success. For Gal Gadot, it cast unexpected doubt on her ability to uplift a project through her star wattage. Then, adding the rumored refund demand turned the entire saga into a cautionary tale. If even Disney is tossing around the idea of legal or financial retribution against its own stars, who's safe? Which led everyone to the burning question, was this refund rumor real, or a scare tactic gone too far? In Hollywood, rumors can sometimes become self-fulfilling prophecies. While most insiders doubt Disney would publicly sue major stars, especially someone with as much global goodwill as Gadot or a rising star like Zegler, the studio's frustration is said to be palpable. Budgets were blown far beyond initial projections, and the marketing for Snow White turned into a defensive scramble rather than a triumphant fanfare. Some argue that Disney might be floating the threat of financial penalties to rein in other future controversies, reminding cast and crew to tread lightly when speaking publicly. Others believe the mention of refunds is a canary in the coal mine for just how dire the film's prospects look to be. If it underperforms spectacularly, lawsuits or repayment requests could be the least of anyone's worries, because the damage to careers and the brand might be far costlier in the long run. All that's left is to see whether this fairy tale can have any chance at a happy ending. What began as a bold, extravagant remake of one of Disney's crown jewels spiraled into a labyrinth of ballooning costs, creative disagreements, and swirling controversies. Instead of pure wonder, fans got a front-row seat to star clashes, uncertain test screenings, and the possibility of Disney trying to claw back money from its leads. The result is a cautionary tale that even the most promising projects can get derailed by unchecked spending, muddy creative visions, and public feuds. The central lesson might be that reimagining a classic isn't just about big budgets and marquee names. It requires a careful balance of tradition, fresh insight, and team synergy. Whether Snow White manages to recover at the box office or quietly transitions to streaming, the story of its troubled journey will linger. Audiences will remember how even a fairy tale saga steeped in childhood nostalgia can transform into a modern-day fiasco when budgets, egos, and controversies collide.